you so very much, and thank you for your very awesome words. I was listening very intensely on that front again as well. So thank you for that. You did mention a couple of things that really I kind of keyed in on. So the first one was you had spoke about the government being um, so concerned with ensuring that small and medium-sized businesses recover. And then you had also spoke about supply chains that work together. Um, and you also spoke to the fact that both Canada and U.S. Countries, they are very impactful on each other. Um, I guess my question is, what are we doing to ensure? Because I'll be honest with you. So for my riding of Essex, down very near Windsor, the busiest international border, I will suggest that we're really struggling down here. We're struggling dearly, and we're having problems when Canadians leave, when Canadian business owners who have every right in the world, they have their visas to cross, to come back into their country, to back into our country, are having problems. And they have to quarantine for 14 days, and they can't literally run their businesses. I'm wondering, can you tell me, has there been discussions, bilateral discussions, in that if we are indeed going to have the border open, if we're indeed going to take care of both countries, small businesses, medium-sized businesses, has there been discussions as to how we can come up with a solution that people don't have to be afraid to go to the border, to cross the border, I should say, to be quarantined for 14 days? Has there been any discussion at all with that?
Thank you. Thank you very much for the question. So just on the border, maybe I can just start by saying that for a year now, I've had discussions about every 2 weeks, sometimes a little bit more, with the Department of Homeland Security on the Canada-US border. And those discussions are around what are our policy objectives with respect to the border? What restrictions do we feel we need to put in place in order to achieve those policy objectives? And since the outset, the joint objective that we set with the United States was to minimize and, in fact, stop non-essential travel, but to allow essential business travel to continue. It was a monumental decision, as everybody knows. It was unprecedented. But ultimately, as we looked at the data and as we checked in with each other every couple of weeks, it was clear that that measure was doing what it was designed to do, because truck travel across in your neighborhood, but across the country, was down by maybe 5%, maybe 7%, maybe 2%, maybe not at all, depending on the week. The actual release of goods into Canada and into the United States, again, was down very little, sometimes not at all. But the rest of travelers overall at the land border was down, depending on the week, between 80 and 90%.
Okay,
and
thank you.
it was seen to be very important, and has, I think, proven to be very important in controlling the spread in our communities.
So thank you very much for that. So I would go on to my next question would be that, you had mentioned about the Team Canada approach is working. The truth of the matter is, at least in my area, it's not working, because we are losing business to the United States and to Mexico hand over fist, because our owners who are putting foods on the tables of Canadian families, Estonian families, it's not working because they're being quarantined. And I have spent hours and weeks on the phone with these owners saying, you know what, I'm just going to pick up stock. I'm moving to the States. I'm going to bring the business to the States. I'm out of here. I'm gone, because I can't afford to send my employees across to the border anymore. Who specifically, what should we be doing to make sure that we can get to the very cusp of the problem and move that forward? Because if we indeed are going to open up the border, we better do it sooner than later, because just next week, Windsor-Essex is losing business, and not small pieces, huge manufacturing, good paying jobs. Any thoughts who I can grab the phone and call?
Well, I mean, I think that those decisions with respect to the Canadian border and the way that we're managing the Canadian border, of course, are happening in Ottawa with our border services and CBSA and public safety and the health officials. I mean, we have said since the beginning that we will make those decisions as a government based on science and the advice of experts. And President Biden, is saying the exact same thing. When we met with him last week, he said, with respect to the opening of the border, those decisions will be made based on the facts on the ground, how the virus is progressing, what the scientists and the experts are saying. And so we're very much aligned in that respect. I think that we're going to see a fairly, a very sense of common purpose with the administration moving forward. Of course, we would like to, get things back to normal as soon as possible, but ultimately that's not going to be possible until we control the virus in both countries.
Mr. Lewis, 20 seconds.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, very much. I appreciate it. I won't ask a question. I will respect the chair's time. I would suggest if there's some way you can get a phone number for President Biden, I would be very willing to talk to him to protect the jobs in Canadian families. So thank you very much for your time. I really appreciate it.